Thank you for coming to see our home and our garden. It's 30 years worth of work that we've enjoyed every minute of it, and we like to share it so other people can see what you can do with a small yard if you want to.
We have a lot of variety. One of the reasons we have a lot of variety is because I like to enter things in the fair. So you'll see a number of different things that you could include in your garden, and I would encourage you to enter in the fair, because without that, you don't have a fair. This one's a lace leaf maple. It originally came from the Learning Garden. It's probably about 10 years old. This is a little pine tree I got out of my backyard. I'm going to see what I can do with that one. Moving on this way. This is probably an Alberta spruce that I got from a friend. This one came out of my yard. I believe it's a myrtle. We'll see what can happen with that one. We have a little pine tree. I won that one. This is a kind of Lansseria, which is related to the honeysuckles. This is a hawthorn, and we've had a couple of our bonsai club members who've passed away. So they have gifted all of their bonsai trees to the members of the bonsai club. And this is one of those that I inherited. This one is a larch. One of the interesting things about this conifer is that it actually drops all its needles. It's a really pretty one. Believe it or not, this is a Sitka spruce. This one is a cork oak. So when it gets to be 300 years old, I can pull some cork off it maybe. This one, again, is an inherited tree. It's a kind of juniper. This was a very common bonsai tree. It's a Chinese elm. This one is a white pine, I believe. This little guy is a boxwood. It's supposed to be a grow, but he obviously needs a little bit of pruning. Trident maples are very common in classical bonsai subjects. I don't know if this one would be classic, but it's a pretty common one. Here's another juniper. This one I think is fun because it's actually from the sycamore maple down at the Learning Garden. You can see the leaves have gotten small because I've pruned them off and let the second growth leaves come up. Another trident maple. This one's a grove. 3 of them in the same pot. This is an oak of some sort. Another pine. This one is actually just western red cedar. I believe this one is an Atlas spruce. Or Atlas cedar, pardon me. Another pine. And hiding back here we have a little cotoneaster. These are particularly lovely little bonsai because they carry these little berries on them and last most of the winter. This is Bibbs. He adopted us. Down here we have begonias. They also do really well in deep shade. And they're also sheltered enough that I don't generally have to pull them out in the wintertime. As long as it doesn't get too wet, they don't rot. This little garden tree has a variety of things. Fuchsias, an ornamental strawberry there, a couple of geraniums, and they get a little more light as they're out here on the edge. Okay, so along this edge, this actually started out as a mound of dirt that came out of our little addition. And we were tired of trying to fight with the grass here, so we thought we'd just make it into a flower bed. We try to have something blooming or something interesting almost all year long. We have a couple peonies. They have a nice green foliage in the spring and large blossoms in the spring. They're not as interesting later in the fall, but they do turn rather red and then they die down to the ground. Coral bark maple here I used to kind of anchor this bed. And right next to that is the bearded iris. Someone gave me some tubers and I just had to put them in somewhere. This pink one right here, this is a potentilla. The more common color is yellow, but I thought this pink was particularly attractive. Alright, so we have several different daisy-like flowers. This one be a black-eyed Susan. Down here, this is also known as Indian blanket flower. It's common in the southwest. More of the jelly bean poppies and more of the cosmos. This front area I wanted to make mostly into herbs that wouldn't take too much care in the future. We've got several varieties of lavender, as well as the lemon thyme and the common English thyme, all the way around to the edge there. So we have here a lace leaf maple. I believe it's around 20 years old, was given to me by a friend. I rather like the hellebores because they bloom dead of winter. So I have a number of different hellebores in here, but I also have a number of heucheras, the little coral bells of various colors in here. It seems that these hellebores, I tried them in the deep shade, but they seem to need just a little bit more light than they were getting there. This bed is mostly annuals. It has bulbs in the spring, but just zinnias and a couple coleus. A few leftover gladiolas there. So you can see we like to reuse and repurpose things. This started its life out as a pole for the basketball hoop. When the kids grew out of the basketball hoop and the hoop deteriorated, we put a barrel over the bottom of it and planted different things. With a lamp on the top, we've got sweet peas growing up in here. These will be ready to pull out very soon. I like to collect seeds, so you can see the seed pods here. When they're ripe, I'll pick some of those and pull them out. Down around the bottom, a lot of alyssum. There's white varieties and purple varieties. I usually start this bed out with some petunias, and there's still a couple over there struggling to bloom, but it kind of looks like these little bedding dahlias have taken over. I got a lot of these bedding dahlias from a neighbor that moved away, so help me remember my neighbor. This bright pink here is an aster, a little different from the common blue one. That one came from Mini College once time. It was a centerpiece. The big azalea bushes actually were here when we moved in, hiding in that deep shade. We moved them out here and they've done real well, but they've been here for 30 years. Along the edge you'll see some pinks that obviously are not blooming right now, but the pinks were given to me by one of my kids in little 4-inch pots, and they have since multiplied, and we've got them all along the edge here. Dahlias have a number of different forms. This one's called a collarette. The name of this one is Christmas Star. I bought it last year at Old House Dahlias. They have a fabulous assortment. These purple guys are an echinacea, close related, I believe, to the black-eyed Susan, but they're also a medicinal herb. I like them because they're pretty, and the bees like them. This is another kind of dahlia. This one's called porcupine, and it doesn't fit into any of the categories. It's a little different from all the other dahlias. All right, I try to keep the center of the bed into perennial so I don't have to get in there too often, but I like to have some annuals along the edges, hence the marigolds here and the cosmos up here. This one, a little farther in, is actually another dahlia. This one is called Alpen Fury. This area is still a work in progress. We've always had problems growing grass here. So we thought, well, let's try and make it into a moss garden. So we made it into a moss garden, and that didn't work either. So this is the next experiment in what to do in this place. We've chosen a number of different ground covers to see if they'll, how they will do, if they'll fill in or not. And then we've added these stepping stones to make kind of a spiral, you know, it could be a labyrinth or whatever, but it was fun making the stepping stones. My sister and I made a lot of them. We have here, let's start down here. This one is Blue Star Creeper. It does really well. In fact, it does too well. It kind of takes over a lot of things. We've got some Corsican mint that smells nice when you step on it. We've got this creeping thyme here. Has a real pretty little purple flower that the bees adore. In fact, most of the thymes do. This one's the creeping thyme. We also have this little gray colored woolly thyme. The lemon thyme did not do so well as a ground cover. It's here, but it's not doing quite as well as I'd hoped. And then we have this silver carpet right here. Quite frankly, I don't even know what it's related to, but it seems to make a couple of big spaces. We were going for different textures and different colors in filling in this area. These blue guys are called Caryoptera. They're a little shrub. I love the color, but the other thing we really love about them is that the bees think they're really wonderful. Don built me the little greenhouse for a birthday and anniversary gift. I use it mainly for seed starting. I like to start seeds. I think that's a really fun thing to do. Right now it's got mostly storage in. I've got my flats there. I've got my bonsai pots and other things that are just sitting around. In a few weeks I'll probably store some of my geraniums in there and maybe some other stuff over the winter. When we first got the greenhouse, we tried that and things got burnt in January because it actually got too hot on those few sunny January days we have. So we got this little vent that it has wax in the cylinder there. So when it gets warm, it expands and pushes the little vent open, and when it gets cold, it shrinks and closes the vent. So that works really well.